Okay, what you saying, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. If you haven't done already, check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. You can find the link to that at the top of the chat and also in the description below. Join discussions, chat with other traders, join the community, chat with myself. I share ideas there. If you are interested in joining in, feel free to check it out. And of course, you can find out a bit more information about Elevating Traders as well. But good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing good. Welcome back to another stream. Himanshu. Okay, I'll take a look at Euro Aussie for you, no problem. I'll just go through the USD markets first, take a look at DXY, USD pairs, gold and silver, and then I'll start to go through some requests, but sure thing, we'll take a look. Sachin, what is up? Hope you're doing good. Hello. Hope you're well. So yeah, I want to start with DXY. We'll go through USD pairs and gold and silver as well. And we did have some news yesterday. We did see a bit of dollar. We did see a bit of dollar weakness initially, but we did see some strength towards the end of the day, as price did have a bit of a pullback on the DXY. So we were looking pretty bearish. You can see where that big wick to the downside. But then, of course, we did kind of change that direction as the day continued. And, well, on the day anyway, we actually closed still bearish, but we did pull back pretty aggressively. And you'll see signs of that on Euro, Pound, and other markets as well, which we'll get to soon. But I said for the DXY, the market's still a bit overextended. I am looking for a bigger pullback. The plan is still very much clear. We've had a very massive breakout of this 2-year range. So as long as this stays a breakout or remains a breakout, we don't come crashing back down. I am looking for a push all the way back to the high here at 113, 114. So that's still very much the plan with the DXY, which is why I'm very bullish. Of course, the only way for me to change that bias is if we were to come back underneath that range. So this turns out to be a massive fake out. And then, of course, after that, I'll be very bearish on USD, expecting a completion of the range back to the lows here. So that's the only way I do become bearish longer term. At the moment, we haven't got that. So I'm still pretty bullish, expecting more upside. But what I will say is the market's still a little bit stretched and it is becoming a little bit corrective now. We are starting to lose some momentum. We're starting to see more frequent pullbacks, deeper pullbacks. I'm not seeing much strength in the upwards moves anymore. We had a massive candle here on the daily chart, had a fairly decent one there, but the rest are still pretty sluggish, not seeing much momentum. So we are becoming a bit corrective, which is why I said potentially we could see a deeper pullback now for the DXY, and maybe CPI yesterday could have been the catalyst for that. And in some ways it was. We did see a bit of a move to the downside, but I was looking for a much deeper one. I was talking about this area back here, around 107.8, 108 if you want to call it that. Nice psychological level, but more importantly, solid level resistance was our prior high. Of course, this is the high which sent us back down to give us a new high low, which of course has seen new highs since then. So I've been looking for a pullback for the dollar, pullbacks for dollar CAD, Euro USD, Pound USD, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, you name it. Been looking for pullbacks on those USD pairs. And I've been wanting to see a bit more weakness for the USD before I do buy back into it. Not that we can't potentially push the upside from here. We could, but I've been looking for a deeper correction because I want to try and find a nice swing trade, which I can hold for potentially multiple days, potentially multiple weeks if it does really play out. And I want to see those bigger corrections, so it gives me more confidence to hold on further. If we have shorter corrections, sure, you can still see continuations. But as soon as we come back to highs, you're probably looking to close the trade there. Of course, you don't know. Maybe it does continue forever. But, shallow pullbacks typically give you more shallow moves. Deeper pullbacks, if they do play out, give you much deeper and more fulfilling moves. And that's kind of what I'm after here with the DXY. So dollar at the moment has seen some nice retracement. It is throwing some wicks to the downside. I believe that it just about, I missed that area there. So yeah, I'm still looking for a little bit more downside. Yes, it looks like it's finding support, but I'm looking for a bit more weakness of the dollar before I do start buying. This is my area of confluence. Lines up pretty well with the 0.5, I believe, of the fib. Yes, it does. Back into that 108 area. So that's really where I want to find my longs and see if I can hold onto some Well, not longs on the DXY, but shorts on pound and longs on dollar CAD. But find my opportunities to take advantage of that USD buy. So that's really what I'm looking for the DXY. Will we see a bit more downside before we push up? Potentially. Looking on the hourly chart, it is still looking pretty corrective, but this is a very strong impulse down, followed by a very strong impulse up. So that's kind of a reversal pattern. And if we potentially break this to the upside with some momentum as well, then we probably won't see that big a correction. We might push. So on the lower time frames, probably keep an eye on that. If we do break to the upside aggressively, we probably will just keep pushing up. If we go take a look at Euro USD, which did something similar, it was a nice reaction on an area of support, which we were discussing yesterday. This wasn't big enough pullback, and the candlestick as well was too big of a rejection for me to take a trade. It was probably like a 1.2 RR back into the low, which is great. But I wouldn't be looking to try and take it past that low, to be honest, because I know the market's still bearish. But again, we're still very, very corrective, and we haven't seen much of a pullback. So even though for Euro, I do have a very long-term bias with this one, as long as we stay below the low of the range, which so far we're doing, I do think there's a good chance Euro can make it back to the lows there. But because we haven't seen much of a pullback, it's been very corrective, it's been very shallow pullbacks. I can't necessarily be looking for anything crazy. And the push that low is kind of the best I've got, which, again, if I do take an entry on that big bearish engulfing candle, which was a great entry signal. However, in terms of stop loss, again, looking at about a 1.2, 1.3 into that low, which isn't the best RR in the world. So, yeah, nothing really for me there, but a nice reaction yesterday. If you're looking at the lower time frames, probably can get some entries there, maybe the 30, 15 minute off that area. It's been a nice reaction. At the moment, the market's kind of just moving sideways. For Euro, I also talked about a deeper pullback, which is something I'm a bit more interested in, which is coming back to retest this support area here and having that deeper pullback. If I draw the fib from the high to the low, you can see it lines up pretty well with the 0.618. So this is something that would interest me a little bit more because number one, it's a deeper correction. And number two, the risk reward back into that low will be far greater. And if things look good, if the momentum looks good, I can potentially hold onto that trade a lot longer as well, past that low, and try and attack some lower prices as well. So I'm looking for a deeper correction there for Euro in terms of the entries. Will we get that potentially? Will price continue from here? Potentially. This is where my confidence lies as a trade. It's my job just to wait for my opportunities to set up. And when they do, make sure I'm there to take them. So I'll keep an eye on that for Euro. I'm still looking for a deeper correction on pound USD as well. Pretty much the same exact bias, same analysis with Euro as well. My preferred level to take a trade for pound is still 1.25, although I wouldn't mind the retest of this low here as well at 1.235. But again, need to see a pullback for pound. You can see if I draw the fib from the high over there to the low, it lines up pretty well. Well, it's gone past it now, but it did line up pretty well with the 50 when I was trading back over there. But since we had the bigger move at the start of the week, it's kind of in between the 0.5 and 0.618. But still a healthy area of confidence. We'll probably tag both of them if you do get that bigger pullback. So still looking at something like this for pound as well, similar to Euro, which again should give some nice trades back into the low if the trend does continue. And you're looking at pretty healthy risk reward back into that low. And if I go to the daily chart, I do still expect more downside for pound USD in general. We have broken through this ascending channel here, this counter trend line, and we did it with some nice momentum as well. So I do expect to see more downside. And next level, I expect price to go tick off is that low there, just below 1.21, 1.20665. So that's what I'm expecting pound USD to get to. But first, of course, need to see some healthy pullbacks. Do you find some entries? I would say keep an eye on those two areas, 1.25 and 1.235. We testing this prior low or that prior low. Either one could send the market back to the downside and continue that trend. So keep an eye on both of them. And I would suggest if you're looking at more intraday timeframes, you might find some nice opportunities on the retest of that low there for pound. But yeah, still wanting to see a much bigger correction, really big drop past couple of days. Market's still quite stretched. So I do need to see price kind of contract a little bit and have a bit of a breather. Dollar CAD still very choppy. conditions, market seems to be moving sideways here quite a lot. So not really interested in dollar CAD in this area. I do expect to see some downside again, purely as retracement, but we might not see that. Maybe price just continues to consolidate for the next few days and eventually breaks up. That could be the case. If that is the case, I won't be interested. I'm still expecting a lot more upside for dollar CAD in the foreseeable future. This is the resistance I'm looking for price to get to, more or less around 1.465. Massive rejection over there, again over there as well. And we're not too far away from that same level. Now that we've broken through this resistance, and of course we've done that a while ago, that is really the next big level. So dollar CAD, for me, more upside expected. You can see it's been such an impulsive breakout. So we are a little bit stretched, again, due a bit of a pullback. Hence why I'm waiting for price to have that correction back into this area here. And then hopefully I can find some longs to find that next pullback and ride that back to highs. And then if I'm lucky, back to the next weekly level up there. But as of now, dollar CAD is just moving sideways, really. So difficult to find quality trades here unless you're looking to play the range. Couple of fake outs of that as well. Not ideal, but that's how the market is moving. So yeah, dollar CAD still very bullish. This is still my number one opportunity for a trade, coming back to retest the high. But as I said, we may just consolidate, break out. In that case, keep an eye out for the retest of this high, because that might be the only trade opportunity we get in terms of a break and retest. So I'll keep an eye on that as well, should that happen. In terms of Aussie dollar, again, still looking for a pullback for this one. Still very, very tired underneath these lows. If I scoot to the weekly chart, you can see we've taken out some major weekly lows here. So again, after taking out such a massive low like that, I cannot be looking to sell the market anymore. I need to expect at least a breather, a correction, even if we are going to continue down, which I expect us to do. I'm actually longer term expecting us to come back to the COVID lows down here. So I'm expecting a lot more downside for Aussie dollar in the long run. But first, I do need to see a correction, such a big move as well. So I do think Aussie dollar is due some upside, similar situation to dollar CAD. I think it's due some downside. So looking at something like this and a correction, if I go back to the daily chart, the area I'm looking for price to get to is to retest this level of support. Really, really strong level of support in the daily chart. You can see two massive reactions from that area. Since then, we've broken through, but if we can get a retest, there's a good chance it can act as resistance and potentially send price back down again. So that's really where I want to see Aussie dollar get to in the next few days. And then I'll see how price reacts, and hopefully there'll be some opportunities to take price back down again and targets back into the low, so on and so forth. There's a current trend right now for USD strength, and I'm just looking to take my pieces of that pie, really. And as long as price stays bearish and US and DXY doesn't do anything crazy, I will maintain that bias. Of course, if things change, I'll change with it. But for now, I'm only expecting more downside. But yeah, do you need to see a pullback there for Aussie dollar? New Zealand dollar is in a similar boat as well. However, we haven't taken out that weekly low, which is just below us. I wonder if price is going to do that first before we do get a bigger pullback. You can see major low there, similar to Aussie dollar, and we're kind of just trading right above it. So again, we've taken out some major lows previously, though. These lows here taken out, those lows there taken out. So I do want to see a pullback there for New Zealand dollar as well. The market's been incredibly bearish, so not really interested about shorting in here. Not to say that we can't sell off. We can still do that. The market is still forming low highs. This could be completely missed it there. This could be the next one. But of course, on the time frames I'm trading, I'm looking for those bigger corrections, for those bigger swings as well. So that's really what I'm looking for on New Zealand dollar. And it's pretty much a similar opportunity to Aussie dollar, looking for the retest of that daily low around 0.58. Hopefully some entries there and another push to the downside. If we go take a look at gold, I'm pretty sure this one was bullish. Yeah, still looking very bullish this morning. Looks like we're coming back into that high there of the range. So this is the high and the low I'm looking at. Equal highs, equal lows. Price kind of faked the low of the range there. Now we've had a pretty impressive move to the upside. So now that we approach that resistance at 27.20, we're going to see how price reacts. Do we get a breakout? Okay, if we do get a breakout, then the next target will be the all-time high, back to 27.90. And that will be a nice opportunity. Wait for the breakout, pullbacks, retest, off you go to the highs. Hopefully there's a lot of momentum in the market at that moment in time. So we could look for some shorter pullbacks and look to ride that momentum. Equally, if the market does respect the level of resistance, we could come straight back down, just like we did on these two prior attempts. 1, 2, market was pretty impulsive on this way down. We might see some selling pressure coming to the market and a push back down. In fairness, the market is consolidating. So there's a pretty good chance we do respect that high. But because I know what gold's doing on the higher time frames, if I go to the weekly chart very quickly, look how clear cut this bullish trend is. There's a lot of momentum on the higher time frames to the upside. And because of that, I do expect us to eventually break the high and get back to the all-time high and so on and so forth. So I'm waiting for us to break that resistance. And when we do that, if we do that, then I'll be looking to buy gold again. I was originally looking for price to push back into the low. Never happened. So now this is now going to be the focus. And it does look like silver is following in the same path as gold. Lovely break to the upside, taking out the highs. This is exactly what I've been calling for on silver. We had a lovely double bottom 2-3 weeks ago. Lovely support there. 1, 2, went and broke the highs not long afterwards. And now we create a new high with a new high low. And we did it with some nice momentum as well. So I'll be looking for the next pullback for silver. I'm looking for a bit more upside before I do start to look for the retest of this high for entries. At the moment, we've only just about pinched that high there. So it's a little bit too soon for me looking for a break and retest. But if we can push on, keep that momentum going, that will be a lovely area for a retest. And again, looking for another high low to form. Trade at least back to the highs down the left, which is this area here. But again, well and truly, the bias is to take silver back to the highs there, as all I'm looking at is right now impulse, impulse, correction, another impulse to the upside, another correction, another impulse to the upside. Just continue with that pattern, continue with that trend. So yeah, gold, silver, very bullish. It looks like opportunities are presenting themselves to buy them. Haven't been a big fan of gold and silver for a while, but it does look like we're seeing some opportunities and some setups to get long. Not just yet, but if this momentum does continue, I do think opportunities will be around the corner. So yeah, guys, that's kind of where I'm at with USD. Where was I? What is up, people? Hope everyone is well. Himanshu, I will go take a look at Euro Aussie for you next. Long on NAS 100. Okay, I'll take a look at that for you as well. Gerald, good morning. Hope you're well. Karish, good morning. Hope you're well. Ahmed, good morning. Good morning. Hope you're well. Will, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Excuse me. Darktron, good morning. Hope you're doing good. GJ will ignore the zone. Dropping sell. Okay, going very well. Nice. Really focused on GJ, aren't you? But yeah, we'll go take a look at Euro Aussie NAS. We'll take a look at GJ as well in the 5-minute. Is Holo, welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Monitoring Aussie dollar. Expect, hope for continued correction towards 0.62825. Maybe melt from that area. Okay, I'll have a look at that area specifically. Philip, good morning. How are you? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Sold BTC at 1992. Target. Okay. When you buying BTC? Was it earlier this week or last week? So I imagine that went and hit your take profit, and now you're looking at a sell position. But yeah, I will go through BTC for you. What's up, CS Integrated? Good morning. Hope you're well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So yeah, I'll go through requests. I'll take a look at your Aussie NAS. We'll go through GJ in the 5-minute, and then we'll take a look at Aussie dollar and BTC. But in fairness, Bitcoin has been looking very strong. Crypto has seen a bit of a reaction. A few cryptocurrencies had a big move yesterday. But yeah, we'll go take a look at that shortly. Euro Aussie, if I can spell it correctly. There we go. So you said, is it a good time to short Euro Aussie? Where should I ideal take profit and stop loss be? Okay. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one, in fairness. So I would not be looking to short Euro Aussie. Um, yeah, at least at current price. As I'll be mentioning, this one is kind of like a big range. We've got equal highs over there. We've got equal lows down here. This is where the market's been fluctuating in between. There is a pretty strong level of resistance here on the left, so not a bad area to look for selling opportunities. You can see we did form a massive top there, really big move to the downside, and now we've had another reaction at that same area. So, in fairness, the conditions aren't great, but that is a pretty nice level to short from. And again, if it does go well, you could be looking at a pretty big move back to the downside. You know, we could go get our fourth test of this same area, potentially from there. And of course, if it does break out, keep your risk pretty small. Maybe we're just going to push back to the high there anyway. So in terms of risk to reward, it actually is a pretty favorable opportunity there for Euro Aussie. But that's the only place where I would say sales look good right now, because at least we're at the top of something. We're at a meaningful, significant level of resistance where if price does hold, we could be looking at a massive swing. And it's an area where we've seen some big rejections in the past. Trying to get involved inside of here is just very, very tricky. We've got support here on the left. You can see resistance there, big push down. Now that is going to be acting as support. Of course, whether it holds or not is a different question, but you know, you're shorting into an area where there's a lot of noise and a lot of uncertainty and chaos. Up here, still not the best market conditions, but at least you're trading at a very sensible area. You know, should price break through, keep your risk small. Should price play out, you're looking at a really big swing or wherever you want to target, but potentially could be onto a big swing. So in terms of is it a good time to short Euro Aussie, I would say no. At the moment, we're trading into support on the daily chart, which we just mentioned, and into support then the 4 hour as well. And again, we could potentially break those two levels, but it's always difficult if you're shorting into support and longing into resistance. Try and anticipate the break of it. Um, you know, you rather wait for price to break through those areas and then look for opportunities, or wait to see if you can react, push into resistance, and then take sales. So I would suggest if you're looking to short Euro Aussie, wait for a push back to the highs down the left. So if price can come back into this resistance here, I think that's a great place to short. You can keep your risk small, stop loss above the high, you know, entries in there. And of course, you're looking at a really big swing to the downside, even if it's just back into that low. You could still be looking at 1 to 2, 1 to 3, maybe even 1 to 4 as well, maybe even more than that, even just back to that low. But yeah, from a swing point of view, we could really drop. So yeah, Euro Aussie, I don't mind it. But yeah, entries have to be in that area. That's the only way I see a good opportunity on this one. That's the only way I see a good opportunity. Trying to get involved in this section is just very difficult to do. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Euro Aussie. In terms of NAS 100, yeah, very strong move to the upside for the indices yesterday. Very, very strong move. We were talking about this briefly yesterday because we had the fake out of the support last week. And then price closed back above the support level. We had a really nice retest of the support with the wicks there. And yeah, lovely move to the upside from that support level. I did say in terms of targets, this is kind of the area where I'll look to secure profits. Reason being, we do have those lower highs to worry about. So if we look at the consolidation, I know price just missed it there. If you look at the consolidation here, price did tap into it in a really big sell to the downside as well. So I would watch out as we approach this consolidation. We're not quite there yet, but I do believe we're probably coming into a trend line right now. Yeah, more or less. So yeah, generally speaking, in this area, I would be very careful. Excuse me. I don't know what happened there. I'll be very careful about looking to get into any buys because this is definitely bearish territory right now. If anything, you kind of really want to be in the long, you know, from earlier down here. And then looking to secure gains or however you want to manage the trade. But this is not the time to be looking to buy NAS, I would say. Of course, we could very much break out of this, continue fly to the upside, but this is not the best time to be looking to buy into that. If anything, it's not a bad time to be looking to short, really. If you're looking for a swing back to the low, this is the time and place to be doing that. So with NAS 100, if you're looking to long, I'd wait for price to start breaking through this high on the left. mark that high. So yeah, I would wait for price to break through that high, then look for opportunities on the back of that. So break and retest opportunities, maybe a retest of the trend line, and then looking for longs from that perspective. Because at least I know we've invalidated the trend line, we've invalidated that prior high. Now there's a good chance that price is actually going to make a way, back to the all-time high, and so on and so forth. So that would be the best time to be looking to buy NAS. But at the moment in time now, at least on the 4-hour chart, I would not be looking to buy. Again, it depends on your horizon. If you're looking at the daily chart, that's a nice bullish engulfing candle, really nice wicks to the downside. You could buy that, stop loss below the low, and have the expectation we're going to break through. But of course, your stop loss is going to be pretty big, and you're probably looking at a 1-to-1 back to the high, just above 1-to-1, 1.2. So the risk is pretty large for the rewards you're going to get there. Of course, we could go a lot further. If you're looking for a really big swing trade, that is a possibility as well. But in terms of support and resistance and market structure, that's the only reference point you have. And if price does fail to break through that, you're coming right back down to your entry. So yeah, in terms of refined entries and getting a nice trade there for NAS, I do believe the ship has sailed. So either we come back down again, or we go and break and have retest of those areas. That's the only way I do see a good opportunity with NAS. Excuse me. So yeah, that's going to run out with Euro Aussie NAS. What's going on with my voice today? A bit croaky. Okay, so I'll go through Aussie dollar. I'll go through GJ first, actually. Then we'll take a look at Aussie dollar. Then we'll go through BTC. Probably take a look at Ethereum whilst we're at it. Close the trade 90 pips. Nice. That's 20 pips more than the 70. Elmi, good morning. Hope you're well. US oil, yes, we'll take a look. Pound seed chef to the upside. Okay, we'll have a look at that one as well. First, let me go take a look at GJ. So you just said you closed the position there, Dark Sean. Yeah, GJ's been very bearish. It just sold off, didn't it? Very, very bearish stuff. Nice swings, though. Really nice swings. Lower high, lower high, lower high. Pretty neat and tidy bearish structure, I would have to say, in the 5-minute. Pretty neat and tidy. But yeah, really nice sell to the downside. So I'd imagine if you close your trade around here, you probably sold this morning around there, I would imagine. And now that we're just taking out those lows, we probably are going to head back to the lows here as well. So yeah, I mean, pound yen is looking very bearish on the higher time frames and right down to the lower time frames as well. I have to admit the structure on the 5-minute is looking very, very clean. Really nice lower lows and lower highs, healthy momentum in those bearish legs too. So yeah, the structure is looking pretty good. Not bad shorts at all. Hopefully tomorrow morning, maybe something like that could set up again at the pullback and another drop. And of course, you've got the 4-hour daily lows just below us there. I feel like that's a good target for the week, really. And today's Thursday. Yeah, by Friday, we could actually be trading there. A lot of momentum in today's candle. Of course, today's got another 11 hours to trade with. This candle could potentially pull back up, could close bullish. A lot of things can happen. But if we get a similar close to that today, you probably expect Friday to probably take us back into the low here. So more shorts on pound yen probably make the most sense as well going into tomorrow from an intraday level as well. But yeah, extremely bearish. Another strong close on the 4-hour chart. I won't be surprised if we do end up back at 189 by the end of the week there. So yeah, very, very bearish for pound yen. Unfortunately, didn't see the retest of that 194.5 area. Looks like we're just going to continue falling without that retest. And I do expect pound yen to keep falling for a while, actually, if we take up those lows. Anyway, I'll go through Aussie dollar. Someone's looking for a retest of 0.628285, 628. 2825. Okay, so you're waiting for price to come back into the high here on the left, I presume. 2825. Yeah, it's pretty much the high. A melt from that area, possibly. I mean, if price goes and breaks through that, then it's technically a break of structure, really, on the 4-hour chart. But yeah, definitely not a bad place to short from. Coming back into that prior high, as long as we can respect it, then of course you would expect continuation. If price takes out the structure, then we've got break of structure. At that point, you expect a bigger pullback. I'm personally looking for price to have a bigger pullback because we've just gone and taken out these lows here. So I'm not very keen on selling Aussie dollar at the current price because number one, the market is very, very oversold, which isn't always a good excuse to not sell something because you see many times where markets are oversold and they keep selling off another 200, 300 pips. But what does happen when a market is oversold is that eventually the market will correct itself. Of course, knowing when it will is the difficult part. But now that we've taken out some massive lows as well, so not only are we oversold, we've taken out some massive lows as well. I'm just not very keen at selling at this price. 100% price could still fall, but I'd rather have some type of correction first, come back to retest some strong areas in the daily chart. Now give me some more confidence to really swing this one, hold it back to lows and maybe further as well, because at least I know we've had a bit of a correction. We've had a bounce after that low, taking that liquidity, and now we potentially could continue in that trend. So Aussie dollar for me, I'd rather wait for a deeper correction, but we're probably trading on different time frames anyway. But yeah, that's the area I'm more focused on. But yeah, if the market continues to respect structure, there is still a way we can push to the downside, and you can probably get some nice refined entries up there and maximize your risk reward back into the low. So you're probably looking at a decent RR on that trade. So yeah, not bad opportunity, but personally, I'm looking for a slightly deeper correction and then the push. In terms of Bitcoin, Philip said he is looking for some shorts or is in a short from 99,694. Target is 91,755. 91,755 is roughly there-ish, and you got your entry 99,694. Which is about there. So, okay. So you're looking for another one of these lower highs. We formed one over there. Nice push down. Formed another one over there. So in terms of the location, I have to say it's a great place to short. Coming back into major resistance. That's a horrible line. Let me do that again. Coming back into what is going on today? Coming back into major resistance over there. There we go. You've got the prior high price coming back into that. And if we are going to form another lower high, that is the time and place to do that. If this bearish structure here is going to continue, this is where I would expect a lower high to form and the price to push down. So in terms of the location, I think it's a great place for a short. I'm still pretty bullish on Bitcoin because of one solid level of support, which is still doing its job, which is the same level I'm pretty sure you were buying from last week, which is this area here. Price is still doing a really good job at holding on to support there. It might be someone else. Price is still doing a good job at holding on to that level of support. So as long as we hold on to 91, 92K, I'm still looking for us to come back into the all-time highs and potentially further as well. I know the market is looking extremely tired, but I do think we can still have another push, especially with the way we rejected the level in the last attempt. Really big wick to the downside. That means a lot of positions here liquidated, and potentially that could be the catalyst that price needs to actually see that move higher. So my bias with Bitcoin at the moment is still pretty bullish, actually. I'm still looking for a push back to the high. If we were to break through the low there, then sure, I'll be very bearish, at least for a push back to 73K, which is all the way down there. We can speak more on that when that happens, if that happens. But in terms of looking for continuation of that bearish structure, I think you're in a great place for a short. And again, that's really what trading is: selling in appropriate areas, buying in appropriate areas. Some trades will work very well, some trades won't, which is why you refine your risk and keep it minimal. So if price does go and break to the upside, I'd imagine your stop loss is probably above the high here somewhere, or maybe if you had a slightly bigger stop loss, it might be above that high. But say if your stop loss is above the high here, you take the small loss, you go on about your day. If it does play out, I'm pretty sure the risk reward you're looking at, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, potentially back into the low. So the risk reward is really healthy in that position. Nice place to short from. Markets had a pretty nice bullish move. So if it is going to top out, I would expect this to place it to be. Like I said, I do think we probably will continue, but who knows? You might have a bit of a drop first before that happens. So you might could still make some profit as well. And of course, I could be completely wrong. Maybe we do melt to the downside too. But yeah, I am looking for Bitcoin to push back to highs. As long as we hold that support, that is my bias there on Bitcoin. I think Ethereum also had a bit of a reaction as well. Yeah, strong push to the upside, although I'm not quite sold on Ethereum, to be honest. Really, if I was looking to get involved in shorts, I probably want to short Ethereum really with the price action, because this one is giving me much more confidence in the shorts. Number one, we formed some lovely equal highs over there. We broke structure over here, formed a lower low. Then we formed a lovely lower high as well. We broke the lows there too. We broke the lows there again. So this actually is not a bad short. I think we've quite come back and retest that support level. Would be nice if we did. But yeah, Ethereum for me is actually not a bad short here. If price puts another high in, I do think Ethereum can actually have another meltdown, even despite the bullish candle we put on the daily chart. It's because Ethereum is looking more bearish. We failed at the highs there as well. So that's why I like the shorts a little bit more on Ethereum. But also, even with that said, I'd watch out because this is a really big rejection, massive wick, massive shift in momentum. So there was a lot of buying pressure after that. So I would watch out for that just in case you do put a high low in somewhere and push on. But yeah, in terms of the location, I do agree. And it looks like you've got a healthy risk reward. So those are the trades you want to take, because when they do play out, you're going to make back a lot of your losses. Okay, so I'll go through oil. Pound Seat Chef. What's up, Christopher? Hope you're doing good. Glad to see you as well. Good to have you on the stream, my man. If you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. I do appreciate everyone who has liked, subscribed. It does, like I said, does really help out. Of course, hit the bell too, so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Yes, that was because of selling volume. Okay, normally get 70, but today just gave you a little bit more juice. Okay, if you hold longer, it starts to fade. Yeah, of course, you're not gonna get well. Of course, sometimes you will get those ginormous moves, but on average, you know how many pips or how much you're looking for. And if 70 pips is the magic number, then that's the kind of area you're going to be respecting a lot of the time. Salman, what is up? I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Hope you're well too. Thoughts on EuroCAD? Okay, I'll go through oil, pound CHF. We'll have a look, see in EuroCAD. Tony Gold, what is up? Hope you're doing well. Last news day, yes, we do have some news that reminds me actually. We actually go take a look at that. When is Euro CPI? I think that's tomorrow actually. And the only reason why I'm keeping an eye on Euro CPI is because I'm trading Euro CHF at the moment. Otherwise, I wouldn't normally really worry about Euro CPI. It's not really the biggest event in the world, but when you are trading Euro, it can definitely affect your trade. So yeah, today we do have jobless claims at 1:30 and retail sales as well. Again, not the biggest events. I don't normally worry too much about jobless claims or retail sales. They can move the market 100%, 100%, especially if you're trading the lower time frames. Do have to watch out for that. But yeah, retail sales, jobless claims, I don't worry too much about those. It's only NFP, CPI for USD, interest rates that I do normally worry about. Anyway, let's go through those pairs before I forget. So oil for Elmi. So oil, yeah, oil's looking very bullish. It broke through my area of confluence. I was looking for a lower high for oil, but it has absolutely obliterated that area. I was looking for resistance in this level here. We had that trendline confluence as well, and I was looking for just another lower high in the sequence. We have one over there. second over there, third over here, and I was looking for the fourth in that same area. As you can see, price has absolutely broken through that. So now kind of would step back for oil because it doesn't look like we're forming the lower high. Technically speaking, we still can because structure's still up there. So we could form a lower high in anywhere in this area and still technically continue. But this is where the confluence did lie. So the fact is that confluence has now broken. So we could be looking at potentially a breakout. Could be. Until you take out that high, I wouldn't be convinced in that. If you do take out that high there, then yeah, we probably could be pushing all the way back up there again. Then maybe we might swing back down again. But overall, oil's price action isn't necessarily in the cleanest trend in the world. If it goes to the weekly chart, overall, it is very, very choppy stuff. So I wonder, breaking this trend line, does it take us back to the high end of the range there? Maybe. But overall, I'm not really looking at an opportunity there for oil now that we've broken through that confluence. I would say if you're on an intraday level or intra-week level, there's a lot of bullish momentum present right now. So I would say pullbacks and buying opportunities look good, especially if you're looking at maybe the hourly chart. This is where, if I move this out of the way, this is where we had a brief pause and then we shot to the moon. Nice area of demand there. I think that's a nice place for a buy, looking to ride it back to where we came from and maybe a little bit further as well. So I think opportunities like that look the best because at the moment there's a lot of momentum in the market. So that is kind of what you're looking to take advantage of. Use that to your advantage. There's a lot of momentum. If we keep seeing signs of that, then you're looking to keep looking for pullbacks, and that would be a nice area for a pullback back into 78 and a push back to the higher. But in terms of the biggest swing, yeah, it's back to the drawing board really for oil there. Now that we've broken through that level, like I said, it could be a sign of potentially a massive move, but I'm not quite convinced on that just yet. In all honesty, the price action for oil is just very, very sideways, really, in general. So now that we aren't falling that high, yeah, I'm not going to try and predict the next move here until I get more clarity. But yeah, for now, there's a lot of momentum on oil, so I would be looking at pullbacks and kind of just looking to ride that momentum for now. We do have the next major high over there. That could be where price is moving into at least 84.14. That could be a nice longer term target to work towards. Pound CHF, and Zena, you said you're looking for some buys there. So pound CHF looks like it's still just within that range. I'm pretty bearish on pound CHF, to be honest. I'm looking for sells, but I need price to break out the range first before that happens. As long as we stay within the range, there's nothing for me to do really. But what I am looking for is another continuation of these lower highs. One over there, drop, lower low. Well, low wasn't quite a lower low, but this formed a lower high and then a lower low. So now I'm looking for that to continue and then the lower high in comparison to the previous high. Then again, at least a push back into the low, not necessarily a lower low. But hey, if the trend does continue, we probably will get that as well. So I'm looking for another lower high here. I'm looking at this massive move as a pullback correction of that big drop we had last July, August. So I'm looking for a break of this range to the downside, and then I'm looking for some pullbacks, and then I'm looking for another drop back into the low. So very, very bearish on pound CHF. In terms of looking to buy, I absolutely understand the reason behind it because at the moment we're at the low end of this range. So if you are going to buy pound CHF, this is the time and place to do that. If you're looking for range play, buy low, sell high. You're low right now, so this is the time to buy. Personally, I'm pretty bearish, so I'm not really interested in the buys. I'm only looking to sell either at the top of the range or once we have the break and retest. So that's really what I'm focused on. But sure, if you're looking for longs, it makes a load of sense. You can see a load of rejection here. If you see maybe like a nice bullish engulfing candle, put your stop loss below the wicks here and see if you can ride it back to the highs. So yeah, I absolutely agree from that. But I do expect the bigger move to be bearish. So that's why I'm a bit more focused on those sells. But yeah, at a really nice level of support, so there's a good chance we do bounce. Okay, I'll go through EuroCAD and Euro USD, and then I'll go through the yen pairs. Okay, so EuroCAD. Thoughts on EuroCAD? So yeah, not the biggest fan of EuroCAD in all honesty. Yes, it's okay. Bearish structure we're seeing. Lovely equal highs there. We broke through the low. We formed a lower low, then a lower high, then a lower low. So it's not bad bearish structure. It's doing what bearish structure does, which is lower lows and lower highs. But number one, it's very, very corrective. Number two, we're trading in the middle of a range, which I keep talking about, but for good reason. Because trends in the middle of a range are always tricky business, and not going to give you the best opportunities in the world. So at the moment, right now, not the biggest fan of EuroCAD really, and it's not a trend which I'll look to follow. We could potentially see another lower high and see price push back down, but I'm not quite convinced. This bearish structure does not look very appetizing. I think if you're looking for shorts, I think this is still a nice area for it, but I would be careful in terms of targets. I wouldn't necessarily be looking for the home run. Let's say we do get a push to that level. I wouldn't necessarily be looking for the home run back to the low, or I would at least have a few areas where I look to take partials, and that being my final target. So, if it does get to the low, great, I can still profit from that, but I'm still protecting myself just in case we do form another higher low and price does go against me, which I think is pretty high probability in this type of sequence because it's more of a range rather than a trend. So yeah, lower highs do look good. This is our last high, which gave us the low. So effectively, we don't want to see price break above that. This here is some solid support, which we turn resistance. Um, it looks like we had a bit of a bearish reaction yesterday, retesting this area here. And I think there'll be a bunch of early sellers to the party, stops above here. So I do think that's going to be taken out pretty soon. And this looks like another healthy place to short from, but I'll be very skeptical of how far we go. I do think there's a good chance we put in another higher low and start pushing back up again. So, yeah, taking some partials back at support look good. If you do want to shoot for the lows here, it makes sense. You're expecting trend continuation, but at least have some trade management techniques that can help limit my risk or help me secure some gains along the way. So that'll be my big advice for that. But yeah, EuroCAD shorts around 1.48786 look good. It's just how far it goes might be a difficult, journey. There's a lot of noise here for EuroCAD. It's not the smoothest market at the moment. Okay, let me go through Euro and then we'll take a look at the yen pairs, which are still looking pretty interesting. Quite a few of them are still pretty bearish. So, yeah, for Euro USD, I'm still very bearish on this one. Expecting a lot more downside. We've broken through major support. So, as I keep saying, as long as we stay on the underside of this range, below the low, that keeps me bearish for Euro. And long term, there's a good chance we do push back into the low here, which is at 0.96. If we were to break back inside the range, that scraps that bias completely. I'll be looking at this as a big fake out, and then I'll be looking at pullbacks and buying opportunities for the rest of the year, all the way back to the high again at 1.11. So it's a very kind of clear-cut bias and clear-cut parameters for that bias. Below this, bearish, above it, bullish. That's basically it. At the moment, we're below it, so that's why I'm pretty bearish. So at the moment, I'm looking for pullbacks now for Euro. The area which I do want to see a pullback to is back into this area here at 1.046. Really nice support. Will be turn resistance. Got the 0.618 there on the fib as well, and it'll be a relatively healthy correction. And I can get some shorts where I can refine risks, get a decent risk to reward back into the low, and hopefully a lot further as well. But that's something I'm looking at for Euro. It's a very similar opportunity in pound as well. But I just want to see a bigger pullback. At the moment, we are seeing pretty consistent lower highs here. And who knows, this could be another one that's just formed. We did come back to retest some support on the left here, which you can see prices respecting pretty well. But it hasn't been enough of a correction for me to get involved, especially with that massive bearish engulfing candle. If I did get an entry here, stop loss above the high, my risk reward is not looking too good back into that low there. So hence why I want a deeper pullback. But yeah, Euro USD still pretty bearish. We may sell off from current price. That high might be printed in and price might be ready to go. But I still like this area here for a deeper correction, 1.046. That's really what I'm looking for. But in terms of bias, in terms of what I'm expecting, looking for a push back into that low there and lower, really. So that is the bias and plan there with Euro USD. Okay, so I'm going to go through some yen pairs. We'll take a look at Euro yen, pound yen, all of them in detail. We'll go through the yen basket as well. Kevin, we'll go through gold shortly as well. Kadam, what is up? Hope you're well. Yes, we'll take a look at Euro yen. Olaf, welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Welcome, welcome. Anton, EU, GU. Okay, we'll look at GU after I go through the yen pairs as well. But first things first, we'll start with Euro yen. So Euro yen, excuse me, looking very bearish. Nice push to the downside yesterday, and we went and took out these lows here as well. I don't think we've quite taken out these lows, have we? Or do we just spike through? Looks like we just about spiked through. No candle closure though on the 4 hour though. But it does look like price is turning around. You can see the lower highs price is putting in. We got one high over there, another lower high, and another lower high there as well. So at this rate, I do expect Euro yen to persist with this structure back to these lows here at least, and potentially a lot further as well. On the daily chart, I did talk about this massive head and shoulder pattern, which looks like it's playing out, and actually two big head and shoulder patterns as well. We've got the bigger one, which is the left over here, the head over there, and then this the right shoulder. And of course, this would be your neckline of the pattern. If you can see that, there you go. That's kind of the neckline at a slight slant. But yeah, if we do go and break through that, it could be very much game over for Euro yen in terms of a bearish trend. And of course, you've got the smaller head and shoulder pattern. If I remove this, which I'm sure a lot of you guys can spot, which is the left head and then right shoulder there as well, with a similar kind of neckline as well. If we break through that area, two birds and one stone, you're expecting price to collapse after that. But at the moment, things are looking pretty bearish for Euro yen. And this is the next major area of support I'm expecting price to get to. If we go and break through that, then I do think we're going to see Euro yen tank, and the other yen pairs will tank probably with it as well. But at the moment in time, the next plan for a trade in Euro yen is really looking for the next pullback. We've got the lower highs down the 4 hour chart. The next lower high is, what we're looking to catch, whether it's going to be a retest of there we go. A retest of this high here, this low here, sorry, or a retest of potentially this low here will be yet to be seen. It'll be up to how the market continues, how it trends, how big of a move it has, how big the pullback is. But this is really what I'm looking for Euro yen. Really nice lower highs there previously. 1, 2, 3. I was originally looking for price to push back to the high there, but we didn't have enough bullish momentum to get us there. Now it looks like things are shifting. This is what I'm expecting next, another lower high. And as I said, a push back to these lows where we do have that trend line confluence on the daily chart. And if we can break through that, then I do think yen's going to keep falling really, really aggressively. But for now, this is the next wave. Pound yen in a similar manner as well. Really nice bearish structure. We had a really strong drop last week, of course, with all that pound weakness. This one hadn't had as nice of a pullback. And we've got the equal highs over there, formed a lower high, lovely drop to the downside, and we form another lower high there, because as you can see, we've just about taken out the lows there as well. But if I go to the daily chart, it's not looking as neat and tidy as Euro yen in terms of the head and shoulder pattern. It's a little bit more skewed, but equally, I am looking at this as a massive impulse. This is a correction of that impulse. And now I do think pound yen's getting ready for another push back to the lows here, so on and so forth. So very, very bearish on pound yen. And again, if we do take out the lows here, the next pullback, hopefully we can catch that and ride that to the downside. But I do still see a lot lower prices. I do think eventually probably trading back at 172. So that's why I'm not too bothered about catching that short this week. because I really do see the market dropping another 1,800 pips really. So even if I can take just advantage of 300 pips of that 1,800, it's still a really nice trade, especially if I can get like a 50, 60 pip stop loss. You're looking at really healthy risk reward there. So yeah, that really is the plan with pound yen, expecting a lot more downside long term. At the moment, we're approaching some areas of support, so not really too interested about shorting pound yen right now until we can see some signs of a bigger pullback, or we go and break structure first, and then I see the pullback afterwards. At the moment, I do think by the end of the week, we'll probably be trading at these prices, which is 189. And then, we'll see what the next move is, whether we start having a reaction and pull back or we keep melting. CAD Gen, if we go take a look at that one as well. Okay. Didn't look at CAD Gen this morning. Last time I looked at CAD Gen, we were just consolidating, but it looks like we're seeing evidence of price breaking through that. So it looks like CAD Gen's looking to follow suit with Euro Yen and Pound Yen. Really nice bearish candle on the daily chart. As I said, we still do have 11 hours before this candle closes, so a lot can happen. We could potentially pull back and just leave another wick. However, if we can get a nice close like that, that's the first sign that says, okay, price is breaking out the consolidation. Potential momentum is going to step back in now, and similar to Euro Yen and Pound Yen, looking for a push right back into these lows here. And again, similar to Euro Yen, especially really nice head and shoulder pattern. Maybe not as clear as Euro Yen, but you got the left over there, you got the head over there, and again a right shoulder, and kind of one over here as well. Left head and then the right shoulder. And now I expect momentum to kick in. So I think CAD Gen is looking really good as well. Looking for a push back to the lows. Unfortunately for me, I was waiting to see if price can get back to the high there first and then drop. But looks like we're forming that lower high just before, which isn't nothing to worry about necessarily, because of course that would be very nice to get shorts up there. But if we do see a solid break of this support level, which looks like we're getting, that will be a really nice place for a retest in the lower high. We had a really nice push to the upside there, consolidation. Let's see if we can get some nice momentum down, retest the high, form another high like we did over there, short, and then of course, at least the push back to these lows here. But I do think we can go a lot further and hit that daily target there. So CAD Gen is something I'll be very interested in next week, probably, if this momentum can continue. CAD Gen was not on the watch list for me this week because we're just stuck in consolidation. But now it looks like we are breaking to the downside, and something like this looks pretty attractive, I must say. Now with Pound Yen kind of trading near support, and Euro Yen not far away as well, I might be more focused on CAD Yen now for a break and retest for some sells, now that we have cleared that range out the way, or at least it looks like we are doing it. So yeah, CAD Yen looking very interesting. Looking for another push back to the lows and probably a lot further as well. But yeah, things are looking very bearish here. If I go take a look at Aussie Yen, are we still in the consolidation? Yeah, still in the consolidation. I mean, it does look like price is slowly getting ready to turn around as well. I wonder if this is like a very unorthodox head and shoulder pattern as well. We've got the left, you've got the head, and potentially the right shoulder. Very, very weird looking, but it looks like that could be the case. Again, the way I'm eyeing up price is that this is still very much a ranging market for me. So I'm not really interested in trading Aussie Yen inside of that. If we do break the downside, then expecting a push into that low there, then probably the wick low here as well. So there's a long way to go if we do break to the downside. But I'm not as interested in the shorts right now with Aussie Yen, unless we push back to the high of the range. I think that's a nice place for a short and get some entries in that area. Stop loss above the high, really nice safe place. You can let's take advantage of the full range back into the low, and maybe the low if you're feeling a bit more confident. But yeah, it does look the yen pairs are seeing a lot more downside now. Yen pairs are getting ready for some sells. Yen's looking very strong. We're seeing lower highs on the daily chart form. And I really do think we can see a lot more downside, especially with the price action on the daily, weekly, and monthly charts as well, and where we're trading on the monthly charts as well. which is very, very important. But yeah, very bearish on CAD Yen. Not my favorite yen pair. Not really looking to trade this one in fairness because, like I said, in that consolidation, not interested, but I do still see price falling. If I go take a look at New Zealand yen, this one, same thing as well, looking pretty choppy, but at the same time, pretty bearish on the current daily candle. The way I'm viewing this, again, more consolidation, but I do think we can get that bigger drop to the downside, eventually back into this low, which is not too far away, but more importantly, back into the low down there, which is at 83 on the dot, we'll just call it. So extremely bearish on New Zealand yen as well. If we can see a nice drop and a break of this area, there could be some really attractive retests of that zone for some more downside. But equally to Aussie yen, not keen to trade in this area. Sure, if you want to look to buy low and sell high, try and catch reactions off these areas, that does make sense. It's just not something I'm really looking at, and I'm not really interested in the buys anyway. So yeah, New Zealand yen expecting more downside eventually. Aussie yen expecting more downside eventually. Excuse me. Originally was looking for price to push back into the areas up there for the sell, but maybe yen's just going to be too strong and they're just going to keep pushing very, very hard. So yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. In terms of dollar yen, I'm actually still pretty bullish on this one, despite all the bearish momentum on the yen pairs, and of course this one dropped to the downside a bit as well. But I'm actually still looking for buys, and the area I'm interested in for the longs is still this area here, which is around 154. Really nice pause in the market, strong move to the upside. And again, even if I am wrong, let's say that dollar yen's bigger move is going to be to the downside and it isn't going to be to the upside. This is still a logical area where you can probably expect at least to see a bounce and potentially where I can get to break even, maybe lock in some gains. If price does want to turn against me, so be it. If price does want to continue my favor, great. Manage to trade accordingly as well. But this is still an area which I do like, which fits the plan. Market structure is still bullish. And this is still something I'll be eyeing up there for dollar yen, even with the other yen pairs looking pretty bullish. Of course, if price just melts through and doesn't show any signs of respect to the level, then there is no trade for me there in the first place. But if we do see a nice signal, I'll still look to take it. Risk reward makes sense, and it does fit the criteria there. So this is still a very interesting area at 154. Lines up very well with the 0.5 of the fib. And if it does play out, you've got a healthy swing back to the high there at 159. But more importantly, a healthy swing back to the high here at 162, potentially. If this trend is going to continue, see another high low in the sequence. One over there, second over there, third, maybe even a fourth before we get to the high. But there is a good possibility of a trend continuation, which is why I do like the longs here for dollar yen. And this ascending channel looks like it's finally met its end. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Dollar yen, and of course you got your CHF JPY as well. For this one, looking pretty bearish. Lovely bearish structure there on the 4-hour chart. Equal highs there from a couple of weeks back. Low, lower high, lower low, another lower high, and another lovely drop to the downside. So it looks like CHF JPY is on its way back to support here at 168.5. If we go to the daily chart, it does look like we're forming another lower high on the daily as well. You got one high over there, big drop, second high over there, another big drop. Looks like we're putting a third one in as well. If you can go and take out these lows and these lows here as two, then that just is a stonewall sign that CHF JPY is not messing around, and we're probably going to sell off pretty hard. Because as I keep saying, with CHF JPY, we're trading at all-time highs right now. Let's not forget that. These were the prior all-time highs back in 1979. So I do think in the long run for 2025, we could see a pretty big drop this year for CHF JPY. So this is one of the pairs I'm closely looking at. Of course, I'm not trying to actively just find entries because I do expect us to drop in 2025. But if I do see some nice swings on the bearish side of things, which eventually will map out some point during the year, I need to make sure I don't miss that opportunity and I make sure I'm in that, because risk reward could be very, very high, especially with a trading stop trade management system. But yeah, expecting a lot more downside there for Swiss yen. Just want to see these lows taken out on the daily chart, and then expecting more downside. Even that from an intraday level, though, you can still be looking at pullbacks, for the next lower high, another drop to the downside, let's say another retest of this low. I think that's solid structure there to look at. Continue with these lower highs, maybe find a nice trend line retest there as well. And Bob's your uncle, you got a nice position there, potentially back to the low. But in terms of the bigger swing, if we take out these lows here, you can expect a lot more downside. But from intraday level, keep an eye on something like that. And yeah, that pretty much sums up the yen pairs. If we go take a look at the yen basket, is this looking very bullish? Yes, we are. Ooh, nice swing to the upside, taking out the highs there too. And looks like we're probably going to take out that high then left as well. So yeah, the yen basket ain't playing around either. If I just scrap that and clean the chart up a little bit. Yeah, it does look like the yen basket could be seeing some upside as well. Again, the plan for the yen basket has been massive impulse to the upside, correction of that impulse, rightly so. Look how aggressive that move is. Look how long it took us to get from this high to that low. How many days, how many candles it took us to get there. Then in probably about a third of the time, or probably even less than that, price shoots up even past that point. So the market was very stretched and very, very, very bullish at that time. So a correction is needed. And this to me looks like a simple bull flag, impulse correction. And what do you expect with a bull flag? Another impulse back to the high. That's a very dodgy arrow, but I'm sure you guys get the point there. So that's what I'm looking at longer term with the yen basket. Hence, if you flip over to pound yen, you're looking for the exact opposite of that. Correction, push down to these lows, so on and so forth. So that's kind of where the long-term bias comes from. But in terms of the shorter time frames for the yen basket, let me just clear everything off. The next move would be another pullback because we formed lovely equal lows here. So that was our first low. Came back, respected again. Nice push to the upside, taking up the highs there. Fantastic stuff. It would be nice if we could take out this high on the left here as well, because this was where we did see a lot of momentum on the push down. So it would be nice to kind of take that out too, which I do think price probably going to do that anyway at some point. But what we can say is equal bottoms there. Nice higher high, nice higher low, again another higher high. So we are starting to see some bullish structure form. This is a nice area of resistance, which of course we flipped support. So it would be nice to see price correct itself, maybe retest that area to form the next higher low, connecting the dots there, and then see another trade opportunity to take it back to the upside. So that would be nice there for the yen basket, which of course will be the inverse on euro yen and pound yen and CAD yen, you name it, on those yen pairs to the downside. So if we can get another correction for the yen basket, that'll be absolutely amazing, because it means for markets like euro yen, you're going to see, that next correction like this from somewhere, most likely CHF JPY, probably going to see another correction like this to then short as well. So it means opportunities for CAD yen as well. It probably means a nice break and retest of that zone there as well for a short too. So yeah, let's hope we can get some nice corrections for the yen basket and just see a bit of weakness for the yen, just to get a bit of a pullback. But you can see there, nice counter trend line as well, broken there with CAD yen. So in my book, CAD yen is probably the yen I'm going to focus a lot now. Maybe CHF JPY as well, and that smaller pullback. That looks pretty good too. Euro yen looks good as well. Just need to see a lot more happen to get that next pullback, which might take some time. Pound yen is a little bit too close to support now for my liking. Sure, in the lower time frames, there's going to be opportunities there, but we've got a major lower here at 189, and we're kind of only a small distance away. So in terms of the 4-hour chart, I think that move is kind of said and done with. But euro yen's got a bit of a way to go. CAD yen's got a bit of a way to go, and CHF JPY's got a bit of a way to go. So I like those three. Hopefully, you can get some entries on those guys pretty soon. Okay, so I'll go through gold for Kevin. I mentioned that one earlier. If I did miss our pair, let me know. I'll go through GU as well for Anton. CGFJ point to the downside. I agree. To the downside. Looking very, very bearish. All right. Take care. We'll have a good one, my man. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow. And if you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. It does really help out. I do appreciate everyone who has liked the stream, subscribed to the channel so far. It does, like I said, it does really help out. And of course, whilst you're at it, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any uploads or streams during the week. But yeah, CGFJ to the downside, I have to agree with that one as well. Looking very bearish. I would like a pullback and more downside, but those lows are the targets, and that is where I do expect price to get to pretty soon. So hopefully we can see more of the same there. Then we go take a look at pound USD and gold for Anton and Kevin, and then I'll start to go through some of the crosses, some of the CAD pairs. And we'll go through the CHEP pairs as well, probably some of the other indices too, because we've only looked at NAS, haven't looked at US 30 or the S&P. But pound USD is pretty much shouldn't say that. It looks pretty simple to me in terms of what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of bearish momentum. So the plan is look for a pullback of that momentum, excuse me, and look to keep shorting it. As long as we keep up that bearish structure, voice is being really croaky at the moment. As long as we keep up that bearish structure, I'm staying bearish. As long as USD, the DXY, stays bullish as well, it keeps me bearish on pound. And the goal is to find the lower high to short it back into the current low and eventually back into this low here at 1.206. So with pound USD at the moment, lovely drop there. Really, really nice stuff. But I need to see a pullback. I've drawn the fib from the high here to the low. And this is really where my confidence lies at around 1.25. So I would like to see a pullback into this zone here. And that's where I want to find my entries. I've also mapped up this low as a nice area too. If you draw the fib from the high here to the low, it looks pretty good as well. Lines up pretty well. It's in between the 0.5 and 0.618, like what that zone is doing. But since this is the last major high, which gave us this low, this is where I'm drawing the fib from and focusing on that swing. And it's a much bigger swing as well. So I know if the market does have a correction of that, there's a good chance that we're going to see a nice follow through and one that can go a lot further as well. So yeah, with pound USD looking at some downside, I suppose if you're on the lower time frames, you might be looking at some upside. We are seeing some high lows print here. So you could be looking at another one printing and another push to the upside, but I'm not really interested in those counter trend moves. I'm very, very bearish on pound USD, and I do want to see a lot more downside with this pair. But in fairness, I do want to see upside too, because I'm looking for a pullback. But yeah, that's really where I'm at with pound USD. Very bearish, expecting more downside, but it's definitely time for the market to see at least a pullback now. We've been falling for quite a while. The market stretched. We've taken out some key lows on the left here as well. So I do think we are due some upside, but you can see if I go back to the daily chart, we've broken through this counter trend line here. So I do think eventually we could actually be pushing back to the lows there. 1.179, 1.18, we can call it. So in my book, there is a lot more downside to be had for pound. Hence why I just want to keep shorting, find those highs where I can hold on to it for a while and trail stops and see how far we can take it. In terms of gold, someone mentioned gold is having a breakout. Yeah, last time I checked, gold's looking very bullish. It is breaking through the high here on the left. And looks like it's on a one-way path back to that resistance there. It's 27.20. So yeah, gold's looking very bullish. I do think we can see more upside for gold. Again, what's keeping me bullish for gold is just looking at the higher time frames. If you look at the weekly chart, it looks crystal clear in terms of what I'm expecting gold to do next, which is another continuation back to the high. We had a pretty aggressive sell-off not long ago. Didn't really amount to much. Price is kind of consolidating right now. But overall, this is still very much a confident uptrend with a lot of bullish momentum. So these highs here on the left, I do think will be taken out pretty soon. And we'll probably see another phase, just like what we had here brief consolidation, then price continued. I do think we're just seeing that happen again here. Again, it's a sign that price is slowing down. It was pretty correct to move up. We probably see price push up again and eventually come back down, um, as any normal market would do. But I still do expect us to at least get back to those highs and see some more. So in terms of opportunities in gold, very much looking for the break of the high here, because this is still very much a range here, and gold could very much respect that level and come straight back down. So in terms of the buys, I would wait until that level was broken before finding any opportunities. Otherwise, I'm kind of buying into resistance right now. So let's see if we can break above it. There's 27.20, nice level for break and retest, and you're looking at a pretty decent range to trade there. Back from this level to the next level. There's a pretty juicy gap there. If you can find some entries in the low time frames, could be looking at a pretty decent risk reward in a trade there. But yeah, lovely bullish structure and pound on gold. We're starting to pick up the pace here. Let's just see if we can break the high. Okay, so I will take a look at two are you taking any trades today? Probably not. I'm still in EuroCHF. Yeah, I need some pullbacks on the yen pairs. I need some corrections on um, pound USD for me to get into any new trades. The markets have just been falling, so it's been difficult to find entries on the 4-hour chart. But at the moment, I'm still holding onto my EuroCHF trade, which is still a bit sideways. I'll go through that in a second, and then we'll go through some of the crosses. We'll look at some of the CAD pairs and go through some of the indices as well. Yusuf, okay, I'll take a look at Euro USD for you, no problem. Darkish on GJ retracement, which hopefully will give you entry. Okay. Are you still looking to sell GJ today, or are you done for the day? Is that an opportunity for? Is that opportunity for tomorrow, or an opportunity for New York session today? Okay, so yeah, Euro USD. This is what I'm looking for. Again, pretty similar to pound in terms of looking for that that bigger pullback into that zone. Breaking retest of that support level there at 1.0467, and hopefully some shorts back into the low there, and hopefully some more downside. So Euro USD, as long as we stay below that weekly level support, it keeps me very, very bearish. So yeah, stay below that support, looking for sales, break back above. This turns into a massive fake out, and then I'm looking for buys and a big push for the rest of 2025 if that's the case. But at the moment, doing a pretty good job at staying below that level. So the plan for me is to find the next lower high in reference to this swing. You can see I've drawn the fib from this high to this low, and that's where I've got the 0.618 and also a really nice zone to retest. So I'm looking for a bigger correction there for euro, similar to pound. Then hopefully I can short them back to these lows and so on and so forth. The idea is that I'm looking just to continue the trend, but I need a decent pullback first before I can find any entries. But yeah, that's really my thought process there with euro. Anyway, I'll go through. We'll take a look at GJ. We'll go through Euro CHF quickly, and then I'll go through some crosses. We'll go through some indices as well. Anthony will take a look at the S&P. Sure thing. Vusi, flawless, my guy. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate it, my man. Darkshon. Okay. So opportunity for New York session. Okay, nice. Let me have a look at it now. Okay, yeah, so we have seen a little bit of upside there. Do you have a specific area which you're looking to short from? 190.5. Where is that? Okay, so you're looking for price to get back into that low there. So yeah, that could be done. It means the 5-minute chart there is 11:30 now, so a couple of hours could see price back into that area. Every 60 minutes, you've got 12 5-minute candles, so you got 24 5-minute candles in 2 hours. 24 could take us back to the high there. And yeah, maybe another swing to the downside as well. At the moment, the structure looks pretty clear on the 5-minute, I have to say. It's very, very nice structure there. So as long as we can keep respecting the highs, I do fancy another drop there for pound yen. So yeah, I do second that, Dark Sean. I do second that. Anyway, so yeah, as I said, I'm currently in a Euro CHF short, which I re-entered again last week, Wednesday. At the moment, price is pretty much at my entry price here. It's been a very sideways one, and again, Euro CHF does that a while, so I was kind of anticipating that happening. But again, the idea is I'm looking for a continuation of these lower highs. Start back over there, second, third, fourth, fifth, looking at another lower high in this area for again another swing to the downside. We did have a nice drop initially. I think that was on Monday, but then price consolidated, came back to retest the resistance again. As long as price doesn't break through resistance here, I stay bearish. If price does break above that, I'll close the trade. And of course, I do have my stop loss at the high there anyway to protect my risk. But the idea is that I'm looking for a continuation to the downside and something like this back into the lows and maybe further as well. If price can take out the low here, I'll remove risk and go to break even. But the trade idea is to see if I can catch a swing back into the low. So still holding on to that one. It's been quite sideways, but hopefully momentum can pick up pretty soon. And as I said, as long as we stay below that level, it stays valid. So that is the idea there for Euro CHF. In terms of the S&P 500, again, this had a pretty strong move to the upside, as we saw with NAS, as we saw with US30, really strong move to the upside for the indices yesterday. And yeah, looking very, very bullish. We had a nice little breaking retest of that zone. Price formed some support there, broke through it. Wasn't the best fake out in the world, but it did its job. Faked the low, came back, retested. And we've had a really nice swing to the upside. So now the S&P is in a very interesting place where we could be forming another lower high to come straight back down. You can see the two prior high. Well, if you look at this consolidation over here, you can see price came back to retest it. Really strong reaction to the downside, back into support. Found support there, pushed back up again. What did we do? Pretty much the exact same thing. Came back, respected supply there, that consolidation. Big push to the downside, back into support there again. And now where are we trading? Back into that same consolidation area as well. So we're in an area where you need to watch out because price could keep falling. If I do connect the dots with a trend line, you can see we're pretty much in that area, in that vicinity at the moment. So if price is going to sell off, this is the time and place to sell off. If price is going to break out of this and go and take out this high here on the left, so if I draw this across, let's say if price was to break to the upside and take out that structure, okay, now we got a clear sign that bullish momentum is probably going to be here to stay because we broke structure. Now we're probably going to push back to the all-time high there on the left at 6K. And then, well, 66099, 6100 we'll call it. And then, yeah, we're probably going to see some new highs after that as well. So in terms of buys for the S&P, it's either let me draw that back in. It's either you're already in the buy because you got into the trade down here, or you're waiting for price to clear this resistance supply out the way, and you're looking to buy and retest and pull backs in the lower time frames. So if you're not in here, then you're looking for something like this, because right now this is bearish territory. And let's say if we see a strong bearish engulfing candle, that is very much a sell signal, just like we formed in these prior highs on the left. There's a good chance the market's going to form another one and tuck back into support. So at the moment, it would be bearish buys for the S&P. If we were to go break through, then I'll be bullish, expecting to push back to highs and further. But for now, this is definitely a place where we could sell. No price action signal yet, though. Candlestick signal yet. But if it does happen next couple of hours, that could be an area where we do see a pretty big move down. Okay, so I'll go through US30 as well whilst we're at it. I haven't taken a look at that pair yet. And then 2 pounds EuroCAD could be ready to short if it comes higher. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of EuroCAD. A couple of people looking to short EuroCAD. I see why. I mean, I'll go through it in a second. Um, but yeah, it's I'm not the biggest fan of EuroCAD, but I'll go through it. I'll just go for US 30 first. Dark strength information, enter new position. If not already earned my coffee. Yeah, I was gonna say because you really hit a nice trade, so could be done for the day. But hey, if another good setup does meet your criteria, yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't take the trade, to be honest, unless you just want to sit on your profits for the day, which makes sense. But I'm always under the impression that if there's another good opportunity, why not take it? It's a good opportunity for a reason. If it's a bad opportunity, then of course, why would you take it in the first place? But if another good setup arises, sure, it could fail and you lose some of your profits for the day, but it's for good reason. You're not going to win every trade, and if it does work out, you could double your profits for the day as well. So as long as the risk is worth the reward, those are the opportunities which you want to take. Okay, yeah, 3 to 4 entry points a day. Okay. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. Gerald, USD sure, we'll have a look at that as well. Anthony looking for bearish at the moment. Okay, no problem. Yeah, it's actually a really nice place for a short. So I would say sales look good from here. Like I said, nice bearish engulf candle there on the 4-hour chart. I think that's a great place for a short. You can keep your stop loss pretty refined above the high, and you're looking at a pretty big move back down to support if it does play out. But yeah, of course, if it doesn't invalidate that area, breaks through, especially taking out that high, then yes, we would be bullish and looking for pushback to the high. But for now, let's see if we can reject that level. In terms of US 30, then I'll have a look at EuroCAD. If I have missed out a pair, by the way, if someone recommended me to take a look at a certain market which I haven't looked at yet, just you can drop it down in the chat again. If that's the case. But yes, US 30 very bullish as well. There's a very similar setup for all three major US indices, which was the breaking retest. Well, this one actually didn't have the retest, really just missed out on it. But we had the fake of that level from last week. Price closed back above it and had a very strong move to the upside. We saw that with S&P. We saw that with the NAS as well. But at the moment for US 30, we're back trading at major resistance. So it looks like price is having a hard time respecting that level. And I would say if the market is going to be bullish for US 30 and we are going to push back to highs, we do need to break through this. Technically, I'm still bearish. Reason being, this is the low that gave us the last high to the upside. So this was our last higher low to give us our last higher high. We have since gone and broken through structure. So that bullish structure here has been invalidated. Now we've got bearish structure, and this is the low. This is the high, sorry, that gave us the new lower low. So in respect to market structure, we technically need to break through this high here in order to successfully break structure back to the upside again. At that point, pullbacks and continuations back to the high will probably be the play. We're not quite there yet. Price is still respecting that level, but of course, maybe come the New York session, price is suddenly bullish again, and maybe we just go and break through. If that's the case, then tomorrow or early next week, we can be looking at pullbacks and looking to ride this back to where we came from, which is back at the highs there. But for now, price is still respecting structure. So if you're going to short, this is the place to do it because you can keep your risk pretty small. You're still looking at a pretty nice move back into lows. And hey, if we do see a continuation to the downside, could be onto a big swing. But even a push back to that low there, the risk reward looks pretty favorable. So yeah, for now, for US 30, as long as we respect that resistance, I would be staying bearish with US 30, looking for a move down. If something changes this this afternoon or whenever, if let's say the news comes out today and we see a very bullish US 30, S&P, and price has another big push, then yeah, I would be bullish on US 30 from then on. But for now, still respecting structure. So I would be expecting another push down. And that's kind of the same thing for all those major indices there. US 30 in an area where we could sell off from. NAS in an area where we can sell off from as well, coming back into this area. And S&P in an area which we can sell off as well. So If these guys can respect that structure, could be looking at a pretty bearish couple days for these US indices. Okay, so I'll go through EuroCAD. So yeah, not the biggest fan of EuroCAD. Now I'll take a look at dollar yen. So yeah, not the biggest fan of EuroCAD, just simply because of how it's moving. It's just very corrective and moving kind of in the middle of a range here. So whenever market's in the middle of a range, as I say, probably about 3 times a stream, I don't like trading in that area because that's where you get the most fluctuation, the most chaos, the most indecision is in the middle of a range. And that's kind of really where we're trading right now. If you've got the high over there, you got the low over here, I would say just eyeballing it, this is around 50% of that range there. So this is where, sure, you can find opportunities. I'm not saying you can't find a winning trade. You can find a winning trade technically anywhere. But if you take 100 of these trades versus 100 trades in the trending market, looking at trending opportunities, you have a lot more success in those environments. So yeah, for EuroCAD, I think shorts do look good. I spoke briefly about this one earlier in the stream. I do like this support level here, and if it were to come back and we tap it as resistance, reject it as well, I think that's a nice place to short. There is some bearish structure at play. We had equal highs over there. We went and broke this structure, formed a lower low, lower high, lower low. So we very much could see another lower high form in respect to that prior high and see another drop to the downside. However, because of the reasons I just mentioned, the fact that we are still very corrective, and even the bearish structure is still very corrective as well. Still, like, this is a very clean structure anyway. So I think the shorts look good, but I would be skeptical whether we get back to this low or not. So if, let's say, hypothetically, I do short here, my thinking would be, okay, potentially price could get to the low. So that could be my end target for the trade. But I probably have at least two other areas where I'm looking to secure partials, just in case price does turn against me. We're starting to form some higher lows here. Maybe price does turn against me and goes to the upside. So I would have some areas where I can look and lock in some gains and pay myself along the way. And if price does get to the low, fantastic. I still reap the rewards there as well. Of course, not as much if I just held on for the full trade, but in this condition where things are choppy, it makes sense to kind of secure gains along the way. But yeah, I think this is still a nice place to short. Probably can get a nice reaction off that low at 1.48698. But as we approach these areas here, be careful about price turning around. And of course, this could be your end target back to the low. So yeah, that's kind of really where I'm at with EuroCAD. And in terms of dollar yen, I'm still looking for longs, actually. I like this area here at 154. Solid level of consolidation there. Last down before a really strong move to the upside. A lot of momentum came from that area, and we haven't since come back to revisit and retest. So this is still a pretty fresh area of support, demand, if you want to call it, for an area for a buy. We've got that 0.5 fib level roaming in that level as well. Of course, we just took out the highs there. So the plan is to see another higher low in respect to this prior low there, which gave us the highs in the first place. Now I want to see a new higher low for, again, a new higher high. So on and so forth. When I expand to the higher time frames, we still do have this bullish structure here on the daily chart, which actually just came back to respect that low there. So I do think there's a good chance dollar yen could actually still make it back to the high up there. So the goal is to try and catch a swing, take it back to resistance, and hopefully leave some positions to run to take it all the way back to 162. But yeah, dollar yen I'm pretty bullish on. There might be some shorts in the meantime on the lower time frames to ride it back down to that area. But that's not really something I'm interested in right now with dollar yen. I'm still pretty bullish on this one. Move that the way. There we go. I'm still pretty bullish on this one. So I'm just waiting for the pullback to have a deeper correction. And hopefully I can find some entries maybe next week sometime around 154. But yeah, it's the only yen pair which I'm actually expecting a lot more upside from. I'm looking at CAD yen, Euro yen, Swiss yen, pound yen. Those especially, I'm looking to short. Aussie, New Zealand yen look like they could be seeing some downside too, but I'm not really looking to get involved with those guys. But dollar yen still looks pretty bullish to me, and I think USD just has a big part to play in that, a lot to do with that, with USD being so strong. So yeah, hopefully some buys around 154. We're not too far away now. Hopefully we can slowly get to that area, react, and hopefully find some entries to take it back to 159, which is up at that resistance. So yeah, that's kind of really where I'm at with those markets. I will go through the rest of the CAD pairs, and then we'll go through some of the crosses like pound NZD, pound Aussie, euro pound, and some CHF pairs as well. So we had a look at euro CAD. Pound CAD's an interesting one. It's a market which I'm kind of waiting to see if I can sell for a longer term, because this one has been trending to the upside for a very long time. Longer than you think. This one's been trending to the upside since the low here, which is back in September 2022. So, you're looking at a solid almost 2.5 years. We've been trending to the upside here for pound CAD. So I do think this trend is starting to run out a bit of steam. And we're seeing signs of that happening right now, which is more prolonged aggressive pullbacks. You can see how impulsive these moves are. Not a sign of a healthy trending market anymore. And the fact that we are failing at these highs on 3/4 occasions here. We failed initially over there. Let me just use this tool. Initially over there, second time over there, third time over there, and fourth over there as well. So price is having a really tough time trying to break through 1.815. Again, not the sign of a healthy trending market. So you combine the two of failing to break highs, really prolonged, aggressive, impulsive pullbacks. It's a sign of a market that's tiring and getting ready to reverse. And know that we've been trending to the upside for a while. It means there could be a pretty nice counter trend move. So if we can break through the low here, because this is technically the last low that still gave us the push back to the high there. If we can break through this low in the next couple of days or whenever, I'm expecting another lower high to form and a really big drop. And that's something which I'm looking at. Maybe come back to retest some support there. I'll have to see as the setup develops, but that's really what I'm looking for pound CAD. So yeah, very bearish on this one. I'd much rather this setup compared to what's up, Elder. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. I much rather this setup compared to EuroCAD, because at least pound CAD's got a nice little trend going on. EuroCAD's just very, very flat. And I know pound CAD and EuroCAD tend to do the exact same thing. But if there's a short on pound CAD versus a short in EuroCAD, just because I'm seeing trending conditions, I would always lean towards the pound CAD opportunity than the one moving sideways. But yeah, pound CAD, that's what I'm looking for. A bit more downside because I want to see a daily candle close below the low there. And then that will be the sign that says, okay, we've broken structure. Now the plan is look for a pullback of this leg. So if you can get pushed to the 50 somewhere, let's say we push back to, let's say here randomly. Of course, we'll see where we do turn around, but let's say it's there. Maybe a nice retest of the 50 along with that low. Yeah, that gives a really nice setup in the long run. So pound CAD is something I'm looking at. And again, this might not set up for a couple of weeks, so not too focused at the moment in time. It's actually not a bad support level to buy from right now. Might catch a bit of a bounce, but I do expect the bigger move to be to the downside. So that's where I do see the swing. In terms of New Zealand CAD and Aussie CAD, these guys I'm still very, very bearish on as well. Expecting a lot more downside, but they're being very slow, very corrective. And yeah, I need some pullbacks for these guys. Expecting New Zealand CAD to get to this support level at 0.795. But I do need to see a bit of a correction. I do need to see price push up a little bit before I can short. And the area I'm looking for price to get to is this level of support here at 0.814. So if I can see New Zealand CAD get there, that's what will get me excited. And of course, a swing back to the low there, 0.798 looks really, really good. We've got lovely prior highs over there, 1, 2, 3. Again, this is not the best bearish structure in the world. It's still very, very corrective. And knowing NZD CAD, you don't normally get very clean trends anyway. But yeah, looking for the next low high, and a retest of that zone looks good. I'm pretty sure it lines up the 50, if I'm not mistaken. just about spike into the 50 and then get a push to the low. So that's really what I'm looking at for New Zealand CAD. But yeah, we'll see if we can get that pretty soon. Morning, Ben. Hope you're well. Welcome. Is low and indices before? Is this the low and indices before the new highs? Potentially. I need a few. I mean, I'll go look at them in a second. I need a few pieces of the structure to be taken out for me to confirm that and be confident with that bias. But it could be. I think because of how aggressive the bullish movement was, it might be the sign that the lows are formed. Because it's not like it wasn't like a slow push to the upside yesterday for the indices. It was very aggressive. So it might be the sign, but we'll take a look at them in a second. So yeah, New Zealand CAD looking for shorts there. And Aussie CAD looking for some sells as well. Actually, take that back. I'm not really looking for sells for this one. I'm bearish, and I do think more downside, but the price action is just way too corrective. So I'm just going to focus on New Zealand CAD really. But I do have a bearish bias, in fairness, with Aussie CAD as well. We broke out of this ascending channel a while ago, and we've been falling since then. So I do think, looking at the higher time frames, Aussie CAD is due another bearish swing back into support. We've got the prior highs over there, like a double top there-ish, another lower high there. So I do think we're just going to return back to support. So the idea is, again, looking for pullbacks along the way and taking trades and finding those lower highs. But the price action, my goodness, has just been so corrective and trying to find these pullbacks. I mean, there's been many of them, to be in fairness, but they're just so kind of, choppy. When you picture a trend, that's not something that pops into your mind right now. I mean, yes, in terms of lower lows and lower highs, but just no momentum, just very corrective price action. So yeah, I'm not really keen on this one, but I do expect us to continue to the downside. I think because it's so corrective, we might get a bigger pullback at some point and then find a big drop. I think that might happen, but I still see this moving down. So maybe if something like that happens, I may try and do something, but otherwise, if we kind of stay in this channel here, yeah, it's not going to be one for me. So yeah, maybe we get that bigger correction, but I still do see price falling. Anyway, so yeah, in terms of the indices, really strong moves to the upside yesterday. Price was not messing around. We've hit some areas where we could see price turn around, but looking at the characteristics of how we've had this move, it was very, very impulsive, very bullish candle, kind of showing signs that maybe we have put the bottom in, have put the low in, and our price is getting ready for a possible move to the upside. And like I said just before, there's a few highs and technical aspects where I want price to take out the high and then expect to see more upside. So for US 30, price can take out this high because technically speaking, this is the high that gave us the low. So if price can break through that, that'll give me the confidence that says, okay, US 30 is probably in an uptrend again, and we're probably going to push back to the high. For NAS 100, because at the moment we're trading in this area where we're forming all these lower highs. This is not really the time which I want to be looking to buy, but if we do break to the upside, take out the highs in the left, and sure, pullbacks afterwards make a lot of sense, and we're probably going to take out these highs and continue further. S&P 500, oh, that's not S&P. S&P 500, not 300. Same thing as well. If we can take out structure here too, then of course, afterwards you're expecting more upside. So I want those to be taken out. I think US 30 looks good because it's got a lot of room to the upside. US S&P 500 and NAS, the gap to the upside is not that much. If you look at US 30, once we break through the high here, we've got this whole range to look at before we get to the high. As an awful arrow, but it's meant to be an arrow. We've got all this room to the upside. So I think US 30 might find some nice setups to the upside if we can break the structure there. If not, we might come straight back down. So yeah, it's in a bit of a sticky place right now, because if you do respect this, we could very much see a swing to the downside, back to the lows, and because structure is still holding, it does keep my bias bearish. So until we break structure, not looking for upside just yet on indices. Aussie CAD in the daily looks like GJ in the 5-minute, 100%. 100% dark shot. That's why I don't like it at all right now. I mean, New Zealand CAD is not much better, to be honest. But Aussie CAD, look at the price action. This is a 4-hour chart, ladies and gentlemen. This looks like a 1-minute time frame. And Aussie CAD on the daily chart, looking like a 5-minute chart as well. This looks like an Asian range. This looks like an Asian range, but no, it's the daily chart. So yeah, and that's what you get with some of the crosses here. That's what you get with some of the crosses. They're not always going to be very liquid. Sometimes they're going to be very choppy. They do give good opportunities here and there. But if you're going to swing trades, be prepared to sit in a trade that might take a while. It might move sideways for like 2-3 days. Then on the 4th day, you actually see the momentum in your direction. And if you don't have the patience, you might close the trade early, and then the move happens. So you have to be extremely patient with these sort of markets here. And yeah, when people say they don't like to trade choppy markets like this, I do get it. It's not that attractive, especially compared to like pound yen, which can give you a 70 pip move in a small time window. Elder, can I look at platinum? No problemo. What's platinum again? Is it XPT? Yes, it is. I don't normally look at platinum, but let's take a look. See, okay. So yeah, I remember. Actually, no, I looked at platinum this week, didn't I? Actually, I think someone requested earlier. So yeah, platinum. I don't really like the price action, to be honest. It's like a wedge pattern. We're seeing higher lows, but at the same time, we're seeing lower highs. So the market is kind of squeezing in between this. This is the weekly chart, by the way, but we're eventually squeezing. Eventually, I do expect to break to the upside. I expect to join the other metals and push back to the highs and so on and so forth. So that is really what I'm looking for platinum long term. But in terms of the current price action, it's difficult to say. Let me get rid of that. It's difficult to say what the next best opportunity would be, apart from waiting for price to come right back to lows and looking for buys off that. So I would say this would be my area of focus for platinum, and I would wait for a push back down into that region, and then from there I'll be looking for buys. I know from there I'm at a significant level of support. If price does react, I'm looking at a pretty healthy risk reward. Let's say if you can get it back to the highs, or even back to the highs there as well. If we create new structure, we'll judge that close to the time. But there is a lot of risk reward there to take advantage of, and coming back into major lows where we can see major bounces from. I do like it. I do like it for platinum, and especially with that higher time frame trend line running through it as well. I know that we've got that higher time frame supporting that bounce there too. Connecting these major higher lows there as well. So yeah, with platinum, I would say buys around 900 look pretty good. It's a very choppy market, and because the market's choppy, I want to make sure I'm at the extreme, so I'm right at the low or right at the high. That way I can put my stop loss in safer places and also maximize my risk reward. Trying to find entries in the middle of things is where it becomes very difficult, and you're going to see a lot of fluctuation. Even if you do get a nice stop loss, good chance price is going to go take that out just to move in direction later on. So yeah, platinum, very choppy stuff. So I'd look to work on the extremes here, down at the lows. In terms of selling opportunities, I would wait for price to push a lot higher, really, because you put these major highs in the daily chart. So I would probably wait for another one of those moves, see if price can push a lot higher, and try and catch a sell up there somewhere. That would be a nice place for a short. That way we're closer to that descending trend line as well with these highs. And then maybe I can catch another one for a move down. So yeah, looking for buys down here, sells up there. Personally, I would try and stay away from the noise in here. This looks very, very difficult to trade. But yeah, that's kind of really where I'm at with platinum. No problemo. When I think of Euro and GU, okay, I will take a look at those in a second. US30 looks clean. Yes, I agree. I like US30 as well because there's a lot of distance to the upside. You know, if price does break that high there at 43,200, you're looking at a push all the way back to 45K, and you've got a lot of room to work with. Looking at S&P and NAS, um, you know, still, of course, there could be a lot of upside and break the highs there, but in terms of once we break the highs, we don't have that much room to work with. So it doesn't become as good an opportunity. I'm sure if you drop to the lower time frames, there's plenty of room. But from a 4-hour chart perspective, US30 looks like a really nice prospect as well. And even the lower time frames too. Because we did break structure here, but if we can break back above and start forming some bullish structure again, sure, US30 could be a really nice buy. No problem, Elder. Happy to help. Anthony, okay, no problem. Happy to help. Headed to work. Okay, have a great day, my man. Take care. Hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll go for Euro USD and Pound USD. So yeah, same thing for these guys. Really, just more downside. I did speak on a retest of this zone yesterday, which actually did give a pretty nice reaction, but I didn't take any entries because the risk to reward is a bit skewed and the pullback isn't big enough for me. But really nice support level. Once over there, second time over there. Looks like price came back and respected it very well yesterday. So for this one, it'd probably be ideal to look for entries, maybe like the hourly or 30-minute chart, or maybe even lower than that. On the 4-hour chart, really nice bearish engulfing, but you're looking at like a 1-to-1 back into the low there, which isn't great. And it's not like a situation where I would say, okay, I wouldn't mind taking the 1-to-1 to the low because I know I can push this a lot further. And yes, I do have a pretty bearish bias for Euro, and I do think price can go a lot further, but not with a pullback this shallow. If I can get a decent pullback, more prolonged correction, then sure, I can push that a lot further because I know that the market's already had a healthy pullback. Now we can see continuation, but shallow pullbacks give you shallow moves, deep pullbacks give you deep moves. So with this situation, back to low is kind of the best I can get. So with Euro, I'm still kind of hoping for a slightly bigger correction back into 1.046, retest some support in this area, retest the 0.618 of the fib from that high to that low, and then hopefully another swing to the downside. Pound USD looks a little bit cleaner, but I'm pretty much looking for the same move as well, which is, again, I've drawn the fib from that high to the low. I'm looking at a retest of this support level, taking that across. Didn't really respect it over here, broke above it, broke below. 1.25 looks like a really healthy place for a short. I've also mentioned this low here as well. Could be a nice place to short from, but this is really where my confidence does lie. So I'm waiting for a much bigger correction. DXY, I'm actually looking for the same thing as well. We've seen a lot of upside, but I'm looking to see if DXY can come back, retest the high here. Of course, we'll be turn support there. We've got the 0.5 of the fib from that low to that high there too. So that would be a really nice place for a pullback as well. And yeah, expecting us to see the next swing. But yeah, just want to see a bit more correction. And then I expect price to keep pushing to the downside. But yeah, very bearish on Euro and Pound and bullish on USD. Allah. Yeah, have you seen Elon Musk tweet? He does not rate the United Kingdom at the moment at all. Is Elon Musk's Twitter account your economic calendar for the pound, I guess? In fairness, pound has actually been falling, to be fair. There is a positive correlation between the scrutiny of Elon Musk's tweets about the UK and pound weakness as well, which is funny. But yeah, maybe. But at the moment, pound is still pretty weak. Maybe we're going to see a bit of upside though, because it might probably need a bounce now. It's not only weak forever. It's going to need a bit of a pullback. But in fairness, pound USD, I want to keep shorting anyway. So a bigger pullback, really, and I do think we can keep shorting and seeing more downside. So that's my expectation with pound USD. More downside indeed, but I'm pretty much bullish on USD against every other currency as well, including yen as well. So markets like dollar CAD, I'm looking for pullbacks, looking for higher lows in this area. maybe not dollar CHF, because dollar CHF actually is coming to some major resistance actually. So until we break through that, oh, that is not dollar CHF. Until we break through that, I'm not looking to. I'm not looking. Can I not type? There we go. I'm not looking to buy dollar CHF just yet. I need price to break through this zone before I even think about buying dollar CHF. So that's the only dollar pair which I'm actually not looking to buy. But Aussie dollar as well looks like a decent short, again favoring USD strength, but I do need a pullback. Same thing for NZD USD as well. Yeah, this rate looks like a good trade, to be honest. Elon has a signal service. Yeah, looks like Elon Musk's Twitter account combined with Donald Trump's Twitter account in 2025. It's going to be some great signals. I can see it coming. Those two just working off each other. I can see some really good signals in 2025. Anyway, guys, we have come to the end of the stream. I will be live later again today, I think, with Trader Nick on his channel. So if you are free, make sure you tune in and say hi. We'll discuss the chart, see what's happening, and hopefully we might improve. But we will be live again tomorrow on my channel, as always, every weekday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Excuse me. Voice being very croaky today. So yeah, if I don't catch you on Nick's stream, hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. And of course, on the weekend, as always, you got your weekly analysis coming up. So make sure you do check that out. If you haven't joined the Elevating Traders Discord channel, make sure you go and do that. Completely free to join. Link to that at the top of the chat and also in the description below. You can find your updates there. I share ideas there. Other people share ideas of what they're looking at. If you want to share what you're looking at, of course, you can do that there too. And of course, you can find out a bit more about Elevating Traders as well if you're interested. And you can find your discount code there too. But guys, really do appreciate you tuning in. If you do me a favor, drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already on your way out. That would be very much, I'll appreciate that very much. And guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next stream.